what this course does is gives you an enormous disciplined technical base, but also develops a confidence in your own creativity.
I was asked by Central to invent a new acting course with a specialism in Collaborative and Devised Theatre, which is affectionately known as CDT. And I thought, gosh, there's a real need now for actors who can not only act truthfully, deal with scripted text and access emotions, but also to invent and devise work. So I thought there is a real need for a training that can bring together both the conservatoire technique and skill set, but also to be able to create and imagine and to become a theatre maker. That work is now mainstream, and there is a real need for actors who can exist within that world.
Didn't really know what CDT was. I thought it was physical theatre-y kind of thing, moving around, dancing about in tights. So I put that at the bottom of the list. And then when we auditioned, I met the CDT teachers in the workshop, and it was like really exciting, really fun, and it was amazing.
I knew I wanted to train as an actor in the UK, and when I saw the blurb describing what CDT was, having autonomy over your creation, your message, your writing, and I thought that was really, really exciting.
I was asking myself, okay, if I'm going to study acting here, where is my voice going to be heard? Okay, I'm going to study techniques and learn lots of forms to execute, but where will I be?
I actually came to drama school quite late because I spent a long time looking for what I thought was the right course. This is pulling in disciplines from across the world, from practitioners new, practitioners old, something to actually give me skills that I could use, in a future industry of theatre and film.
It is certainly more experimental, but the actor training is rooted in any other traditional actor training. We still do Shakespeare, we still do Chekhov, text work, Stanislavski, all of these practitioners that, look to kind of more traditional text analysis, that's all there. I've learned how to speak verse, I've learned how to, use a proscenium arch stage, as well as learning to write myself, create a theatre company. If anything, it's a more thorough actor training.
You have to know how to look after your voice and how the body and the voice aren't separate, how they're one. So I'd always, whenever I warm up, I always warm up connecting those two things.
You exhale, you feel it here, you inhale, and then don't lose it as the release. Don't forget to breathe, I'm holding my breath for you all.
Our movement, we use yoga as a way to get to know our bodies and get to respect our bodies and learn how to relax our bodies and make them more supple and flexible, which I guess is the whole point of training.
Being on Lion King, we had to work 6 days a week, 12, 14-hour days. I think my training has definitely given me the stamina that I've needed, physical stamina.
The foundation, the base understanding you get of how to use your body to create theatre was invaluable to help me to get this.
I'm currently touring Katie Mitchell's Written on Skin. There were definitely moments during the process that were very technical. Towards the end of the piece, I have these angel wings tattooed on my back, and it became a very technical manipulation of the back, round shoulders, put your pelvis back, straighten up there, and it was so detailed. Every vertebra of my spine knows exactly where it needs to be at that moment on that stage. All the stuff we've done at CDT has really enabled my body to do what it does.
what makes it different from other courses are some of the practitioners we look at. So we look at more of Jacques Lecoq and more of Michael Chekhov than other courses at Central.
This training constantly asks people to make relationships with everything that's going on in the world, with all the different aspects of the theatre, so that you have to understand that if you're moving a chair on the stage, it's as important as a spoken word, that you become sensitive to the idea of light, you become sensitive to the idea of sound. With the training that Jacques devised, the muscle that he trained with the strictest attention is the muscle of the imagination.
It takes the imagination of the actor very, very seriously. So Michael Chekhov says that the imagination is like a muscle. So just like the body or the voice, its strength, its flexibility, its responsiveness all depends on how much we train it and keep it in shape.
Being allowed the freedom to really embrace the physical side of the work, grappling with character in a really physical way.
There's neutral mask, there's half mask, there's full mask, all these masks.
We had exposure to different kinds of puppetry and object manipulation.
Materials, elements, colours.
Buffon.
Now explore the colour blue, and as a group you try and figure out what the colour blue does to you physically. And then you might apply that to a character or a situation or a line. And so you'd end up with these scenes and these monologues that were so kind of colourful and so vivid and vibrant in the way you were performing them, but in a really simple way. I did a play called Refugee Boy, and in that there's a scene where I read a letter, and it's my father telling me that my mother has been murdered. The director and I, we spoke a lot about what the letter means and at what point he receives the news and at what point he breaks down. And then it was my job to go away and kind of make that happen. I literally imagined I was an iceberg, and throughout reading the letter, chunks of me were being blown out. And that was just an imaginative exercise. It provokes a physical response, which then provokes an emotional one. The text work we did with the director was very deep and very detailed, and then to get there, I just did a very, very simple physical exercise that allowed me to express the emotion of the scene without having to do any sort of psychological damage to myself.
We consider the body and the inner life as an interconnected continuum. So Michael Chekhov, for example, would say that feelings are capricious and that we can't command them, we can't come at them directly. We have to use indirect means, or what he would say, objective means. So we use the body to awaken the inner life, and then once the inner life is awake, we express what's living in the inner life back out through the body. So it's really a continuous feedback loop, and that's psychophysicality.
It is at no point generalized. It's very specific. So every single thing that you look at requires a focus and a discipline, which you don't always find a training in theatre, because there are many, many trainings which are essentially fake, or they're kind of bullshit. You're not being prepared in a disciplined, creative sense, which calls on a deeper and older tradition of performing.
It's always a game. Everything, to me, is a game. Yeah. So it's the game of keeping your dignity. The game of, you have your rights. And the clown is a quality where there is no front.
Most profound thing for me was clown. I loved clown.
It's like, don't think, just do.
Going on stage with absolutely nothing and seeing if you can make people laugh, which more often than not doesn't happen.
It just made you so bold as an actor. You can all those other methods that are just so alternative and you think wouldn't play a strong part in straight acting, but it does in so many ways.
Yeah, it liberates you from your fear a lot.
It liberates you, for example, in Shakespeare, in Restoration, like clown was just so amazing and it taught you to be so sensitive.
And John really kind of explores the idea that, if you fail, then all the better, because essentially that's not the worst thing that can happen.
Okay.
Specific example of how that kind of work is directly applicable. When I worked at the Globe, you've got kind of almost 360-degree audience, 3 tiers high, so about 1,700 people, and the techniques that he absolutely drills into you is about how to work that kind of space like the globe, because if you're not working it, you're playing it like a proscenium arch, you disappear and die a horrible death on stage.
I think animal studies is the biggest thing.
So the teachers got together and they decided on an animal for each of us, which they thought we were most like. Whether it was to do with our tempos or our demeanour or something to do with us reminded them of that animal. I looked at kind of how it would breathe, so that's a good way of getting into it. So like a dormouse, for example, is going to have a really, really quick heartbeat, and so it's going to breathe really quickly, whereas an elephant is going to have a big, slow heartbeat and slower, longer breaths. And then looked at what parts of its body it leads with, what it moves on, what it eats, how it eats. Stick it together, and then the person comes through. Because we're human beings, we like to project emotions and human qualities onto things. Animal studies is brilliant, it's so much fun.
Yes, this is me.
When we did Man, Beast and Virtue, Catherine was very clear about the animals she thought that Paulino was, which was a meerkat. So everything was very alert and upright and on edge. It's just a really, really clear way to get into a character, get into the rhythm of a character, and actually to break you out of your own rhythm.
In the second year, you really take on the design role. So you'll work really closely with what kind of sounds you want, or what lighting, or what stage design.
We have the lighting designer inside and the sound designer in the room, and everyone is contributing to a staging proposition.
Yeah, from day one. They're used to coming into a process where the actors have put something together with the director, and then it's like, great, sound here, lighting there. And it's like, no, we're going to tell the story together. So I think actors can easily get lost into their own methods, their own ways of getting into the character, and forgetting that actually something that a lighting designer might say, a proposition that a sound designer might bring, ignites that scene or that character in a way that you previously didn't expect or hadn't thought of, and that's really rich.
Yeah,
really, really rich.
Before I even went to Central, I saw their studio, which is a thing which CDT students do, where you write your own material, or you've rehearsed your own play or scene, and you just perform it in its rawest form to an audience of your colleagues, etc. And it's like a scratch night, and you get your feedback on it.
It was the most integrated kind of scratch night, where we'd worked with lighting designers, sound designers, everyone from all over the school to come together and kind of create the pieces. That was awesome. There's people now that I'm still speaking with, and will be for a long time.
There's a verbatim show that you have to make. So you do all of your research, you get as much verbatim text. So what that is words actually spoken by people who are involved with the event itself.
You go out and you interview people from all over, Skype interviews with people in America, stuff off YouTube.
Take those interviews, transcribe them, script them, and then perform them back to audiences. And that itself led to creating a third-year final show called Sold, which we then took to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe.
And that was a devised show, so that was really useful. We kind of reimagined the show. But because we were all Central graduates, it was a very easy and quick process. We kind of redid the whole show in about 2 weeks, and which won the Amnesty International Award, which was quite exciting.
It's all about this boy from Centerville.
It was a collaboration with Complicite, so not only will we be able to make a show ourselves, but we were being nurtured and mentored by one of the foremost devising theatre companies.
And that's something we love to do, to get outside of the cosy enclave of the drama school and take work into the real world and have it reviewed, so that the actors understand what the industry is like and how tough and critical the industry can be.
I have started a company. I run an online series called Monopop. I've drawn the best bits from my 3 years into that company, so it's verbatim, where we lip sync to people's voices.
Yeah. I had lots of offers of toy boys, which is so good for my ego.
Oh, is that right? Oh, I thought it was till 2. I'm so sorry, my friends. Okay, let's just do second bar of 75 till the end. I won't stop.
And that was really based on our film unit. We had to light it, film it, direct it, act in it, edit it, everything. And that wouldn't have happened without CDT at all.
So since leaving Central, I have become a professional filmmaker. Because of the collaborative aspects of CDT, I learned practically what it was to speak to a number of different creative individuals, but also just to understand the many elements of storytelling.
Okay, then here we go.
Shortly after leaving Central, I was commissioned to co-direct and produce a feature film called The Rochdale Pioneers. And that film went on to air on Film 4 as part of their British Connection season. And then in addition to that, I also worked on a film rendition of William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. And that got into Raindance Film Festival. And now I am part of a film and theatre production company. And really I think that it's largely due to the skills that I learned that I've been able to take on such challenges.
What is fascinating and what Lecoq himself would have approved of is that it is a development and a change and very different. And he responded to the change in society. And that's exactly what this course does. It prepares people not only for the stage, but also for the screen, but in a very modern sense.
I think actors are really good at going inside themselves to their own detriment, worrying about their own inner turmoil, because you can take acting training really personally. And I think what CDT is really good at is saying the most important person in the scene is the other person, is the other actor.
It's creating the theatre makers of the next generation, rather than just people that come out and go, okay, what can I be in, what can I be in, what can I be in? People come out and go, what can I create?
Really, it's an actor who's prepared to ask themselves, what is it that I want to say? What's the offer I want to make to the world through my craft and my creative endeavour?
Let's be realistic. There isn't enough work for the actors that are being trained. So I had to really think carefully about why I was training actors, why there was a need for a new course. I do believe it's becoming a community, and so many of the graduates have come back to me and say, I want to employ future CDT actors because I have a shared language. It's become bigger than the training and the course. It's now becoming a network.
The key about the theatre is that it's a collaborative form. So you have to be able to collaborate. You have to be able at the same time to be extremely discerning about the material that you're making. And so therefore you've got to constantly be alive to what's happening in the world around you. And at all levels, this course helps you to do this with technique, discipline, openness, and imagination.